Welcome to episode 4 of my Scorestreak variant review series. If you missed my last episode on the counter UAV, you can find the link in the outro as well as the description. In this episode, I'll be covering the THOR. So first up is the rare variant called the Fortress. This one contains the Tempered perk, which makes it have a higher resistance against explosive weapons at the cost of a lower active lifetime. And you can craft this one for 150 salvage. So in order to understand the positives and negatives of this variant, as well as the other two, we need to compare them to the standard THOR. There's only 4 main categories to be concerned with here: duration, rockets to destroy, bullets to destroy, and the points to earn it. So the standard THOR lasts for exactly 60 seconds. It takes 3 Spartan rockets to destroy, and it can be shot down in a whopping 55 bullets using the ever-powerful Mauler Mammoth without FMJ. The total cost to earn a THOR is 1,300 points. So knowing this, let's take a look at how the Fortress compares. As for its downside, the duration is decreased by only 5 seconds, for a total of 55 seconds. Now considering the THOR is one of the longest lasting score streaks in the game, this was very surprising to me. Most of the other Scorestreak variants that have a lower lifetime are decreased by 10 seconds, and they have much shorter durations to begin with. Now as for the positive aspect, the Fortress has a higher resistance to explosive weapons. This means that it now takes 4 rockets from the Spartan launcher to take it out. And this is a huge benefit, as the Spartan only has 3 rockets max. So in order to take out the Fortress, you must now either die first, or use the rewind payload to get that 4th rocket in. It should be noted that the bullet damage is exactly the same as the standard THOR, still requiring 55 bullets from the Mammoth. The cost is identical as well at 1,300. So the Fortress is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Next up is Kid Goku's favorite variant, the legendary Nimbus. This one contains the Change Up perk, which allows it to switch flight direction with the use of L2. And you can craft this one for 300 salvage. This is a unique variant in that it doesn't seem to have a downside. So stat-wise, everything is identical to the standard THOR. Now granted, the positive to this variant isn't exactly awe-inspiring, but it does have its uses. Now as the description states, all you have to do is push the L2 button to instantly switch directions. So you may be asking, what potential benefit could this offer? In fact, there's 2 things this will do for you. First, tactical position. If you've ever used the THOR before, you may have recalled a time where your enemies were out of reach of your rockets since you'd be drifting the opposite way. For example, in this clip here, you can clearly see enemies on the top and top right of my screen. However, due to the position of the THOR, I can't aim my rockets towards them. If I had been in the Nimbus, I could have simply reversed directions, thus being able to hit them. Secondly, the Nimbus possesses Barry Sanders-like dodging capabilities when it comes to incoming rockets. If I didn't have examples to show you, you may think that I was making this up. But watch here as I try to shoot the Nimbus with this Spartan. A few jukes to the left and right causes the rocket to become confused and sail off to the side. Now it eventually does heat seek its way back to the THOR, but it offers some valuable extra few seconds to cause more destruction before getting taken out. Now lastly, the epic variant called the Thunderclap. This one contains the incoming perk, which makes the tracking clusters no longer player controlled, and they'll freely seek out targets in view. You can craft this one for 450 salvage. Surprisingly, this epic variant also doesn't appear to have a drawback. It possesses all the same stats as the standard THOR when it comes to ways to destroy it, point cost, and even duration. I guess you could consider the incoming perk as a double-edged sword, however, which I'll explain in just a second. So to understand what the Thunderclap does, we have to take a look at the default controls of a normal THOR. There's 2 potential firing modes, single fire and the player-controlled cluster bombs. Now every THOR variant has the single fire mode, even the Thunderclap. And this is essentially like a Trinity rocket, but you get 5 of them. Now with the cluster mode, all 5 rockets shoot at once, and you can control where they go by moving your cursor to a landing point. The great part about this is you can change directions up to the very last second, which is a great way to outsmart your opponents. Not only this, the explosion radius is massive thanks to all 5 rockets combining together. Now with the Thunderclap, all you have to do is keep pressing the fire button in the cluster mode and they'll instantly seek out any visible targets. And to me, this is a positive trait. I tend to muck up my aim in the normal THOR when I use the cluster bombs. and I usually end up missing my opponents completely. Or I'll be targeting a group of enemies and they'll all die before my clustered rockets hit, leaving me with no kills. But with the Thunderclap, you don't have to worry about that. And that's because all 5 rockets will do their own thing and each find a target. The drawback is, you have to be able to see them. Now watch here as I see my target, but then go completely off screen and shoot the rockets. They don't track him. Even when he's just barely visible on my screen, they still won't seek him out. When he's just outside the crosshairs, however, is about the distance they need to be for the rockets to initiate. So there's 2 big drawbacks here. First, if it's not an open map, these heat-seeking rockets won't do much at all for you. And secondly, the spawn protection system will pop up repeatedly. Since these rockets have the potential to net you more kills with a single fire, that means you'll be encountering a lot of freshly spawned enemies, in which case you'll receive the red cross sign, which indicates they have spawn protection. And these newly spawned enemies tend to eat a lot of these seeking rockets, which results in a wasted shot. And that, as they say, is that. Overall, I'd say all 3 of these variants are worth their cost in salvage. The legendary Nimbus and the epic Thunderclap offer a completely unique experience by having no drawbacks. The rare fortress also offers a compelling benefit, in that it forces an enemy who's trying to take it out to either die first or use rewind, since it takes 4 rockets to take out now instead of 3. I'd say if you're on a map that has a lot of buildings, use the Nimbus to reposition yourself repeatedly, and also dodge and weave incoming rockets. If you're on a wide open map, hands down the epic Thunderclap reigns supreme. All you have to do is spam the fire button and let the auto-guided rockets do the rest. If you find your enemies taking your THOR out with launchers, then the all-powerful rare fortress is your cup of tea. Regardless which one you decide to use, they can all dish out severe pain and dismemberment, leaving your enemies feeling a little THOR.